we're going to cover this room with, first I'm going to do it with this point and shoot, and then I'm going to do it with this the more expensive one. This is one I normally use all the time, and there's some reasons for it, and I'm going to show you later. But I'm really going to try to focus on this one because this is what most real estate agents will be having in their purse or in their briefcase or book bag or whatever. So just real quick, you can see in the room we have windows. A lot of agents will ask me, I'm shooting pictures in this house and I constantly get, it looks dark, although the room is fully lit because of the window. So we have that. We also have a mirror to look at. There's another element we have to keep in mind while we're shooting. This also shows from the front of the house, the front door, coming into this dining room area, and then it follows down the hall. So to try to keep the flow of the home, like I was saying before, I want to keep that in mind too. So 3 things: main entrance, window, so I got to deal with lighting, and I don't want to see myself in the shot. And actually where the camera's standing right now, there's a doorway into the kitchen right behind the camera. And you'll see my wife holding the camera, helping me shoot this tutorial. So just try to ignore that, because that normally wouldn't be there, but you need to see what I'm doing. So real quick, I want to find out, let's start with a point and shoot. I'm going to find out when I first turn on my camera, I'm going to set it to auto, is where most people are going to start at. And we're just going to stay that way for a little while. And I'm going to let the camera do its job. And if you look at it, I'm not sure, can they see that? Okay. If you look at it, there's the windows right there. Let me just take a shot so I can take it. There's a window right there, and then the rest of the room is pretty dark. The reason for that is because the iris, just like if we went outside, the iris of the pupil in our eye will want to close because it's so bright. Well, that's where a lot of agents go wrong with shooting a room, is they will take this room, for example, and they'll go over here to the farthest corner, and then they're going to try to get the whole room, which is good, but when you take the shot and you're pointing towards where the light's at, the room's going to get really dark. So if I just make one simple change of going to the opposite, same side as the light, and go from that point, then the room won't be as dark, and I'll show you that on the video. That's just worrying about the lighting. What I like to do when shooting a room, I like to take a whole bunch of pictures. That way when I get back to my desk, I can pick and choose. So as long as I'm hiding from the mirror's view of where I'm shooting, I'm also good with that. Let me take another shot here, and you'll see how this picture is much brighter because the light is behind me, behind the camera. Now I have my camera completely wide, and you can see the pictures that we're getting. Now let me show you with this camera real quick. Let me dial it in. With this camera, I have a little bit wider angle lens. And again, that picture I just took, I left on auto. Now, that's showing the way both cameras technology is trying to adjust for the light in the room. Let me switch to manual. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get all the way in the corner, and I'm gonna push my body up against it so that I kind of get secured in my shot. In other words, I'm not shaking the camera. And a lot of agents will just come in, you can see in that shot, much better. My shutter was at 1/60th. I won't go any lower than 1/60th. If I go below that, I'm going to use a tripod, and because the shaking just of my hand of holding the camera below 1/60th will start showing a blur. The ISO at 320, and my f-stop is at 3.2. Again, a bunch of technical stuff. Don't worry about it right now. I'm just letting you know so when you look at the further tutorials later on down the road, they'll make a little more sense. So a lot of agents, they'll come in and they will shoot and just pick each corner and do their thing of trying to get the room. Well, I found out that if you changed just your angle of the shot, it makes the room a whole lot more interesting. Instead of taking the camera from a head level, why not try to take the camera a little bit lower, squat down, pull that lens all the way back as far as you can, and fire off a shot. This picture right here, I like it because I'm showing the layout of the floor and I'm showing the layout of the ceiling against the walls. That's showing the magnitude of the room. It's not the largest room in the home, and I want to show its size as best as possible without making it seem too compact compared to the other rooms in the home when you put the pictures next to each other. So let's go to the point and shoot. I'm going to switch to manual mode on this camera. I'm going to zoom all the way out. Now, this guy right here has a 16 wide millimeter view. So it's really wide. It's not fisheye. You'll see a lot of agents use fisheye. I think that's a little too distorted of the image. This guy doesn't have anything but just the widest angle that it can go. I believe that's I think it was a 20 or 24 after the crop factor. Again, technical stuff, don't worry about it. But what we want to see is what's coming on the screen and the back. We want to be happy with what it is. So I'm going to dial in my f-stop. I'm going to crank it down. See, because right now, if I look at the room, it's really bright. That window is really kicking my butt on the light. One thing I should probably do, believe it or not, is shut these guys. Now, if you're a photographer, a professional photographer, you're going to know how to take an HDR shot. You're going to know how to adjust for getting what's out there and in the room. You're going to take two pictures, blend them together. Again, extra stuff that an agent doesn't really want to deal with. I might have closed it just a little too much. So if we've taken pictures outside the house, which of course you're going to do, why do you want to shoot the front side of the view from inside the house? Again, it's redundant and you don't necessarily need it. So now, I'm not sure if we can see it with my screen. Let me take a shot so we can talk about it. The light's a little more controlled, and now I can make my adjustments. I'm going to go to 125 on the shutter, actually 200 on the shutter. Crank up my iris to 2.8, opening that pupil and making that film a little bit faster. That way my hands doesn't blur it. And I've lucked out in this room. I actually have a big open. This wide angle is not as much as that one, but I'm going to make up for it right here by stepping all the way back and not getting the door frame. And on the point and shoot, that's a whole lot better. But again, I just took it at head level. So take that same shot, lower it down, pull it back till I see all the edges. And fire out the shot. So that's kind of just getting a room. Look at your elements, look at what your assets are. Is the light too bright? Is there not enough light? Make sure you always turn on all the lights in the room, of course, and watch out for your mirrors.